Let's just start with the plane crash because everybody's talking about it. And those latest videos that we woke up to this morning, I mean, my jaw dropped. Yesterday I had on the show these two pilots and I showed them the video we all saw that was circulating everywhere yesterday. And to me, it looked very much like there was a plane coming from behind, like the helicopter was coming from behind and kind of went right into the regional jet. And they explained to me that what we were seeing coming from behind there actually was not there. So you can see this light approaching. Forget the plane on the top of the screen. It's the lower one. And you can kind of see what looks like a plane coming right into it, the helicopter running right into the regional jet. And they said, I wasn't seeing it right, that wasn't the helicopter coming from behind. That was a different regional jet or smaller jet. And that, in fact, the helicopter had been coming from like the side and is not really that visible. And then today, new video surfaced that really shows what I thought I was seeing yesterday. It looks like the helicopter, like almost ramming into the regional jet. Here it is. And I do believe that is the helicopter hitting the regional jet. I mean, it is. It's the proper video now. It's just from a different angle. And everybody online is saying, what's happening? What was this an intentional takedown? And then there was additional speculation. I want to underscore, it turned out to be totally false, that maybe the pilot of the helicopter was a trans woman. There were reports that it's a woman, and we do believe it was a woman. But then people started saying it's a trans person. It's a man pretending to be a woman, and they attached a name to this person. That it wasn't true. That person is alive and well and was not piloting that helicopter. We don't believe it was a trans person. We believe it was an actual woman with 500 hours of flying experience. And we're told that's a decent amount. We don't know all the details. We'll find out more today. So here is what the pilot said. Stand by. Let me get this up so that I can just read you. John, who was on yesterday, said to him, "This does not look intentional. The helicopter was more or less following the standard helicopter route along the east side of the river. It was what they were cleared for. They were slightly high, like 100 feet, and maybe a bit off course, but this would not be unusual, particularly if they were flying on night vision goggles, which we believe they may have been. It appears that they either lost sight of the regional jet or that they misidentified another jet in line behind this regional jet when they were asked by air traffic control, do you see the jet? And they said yes. Or they perhaps got distracted. Then Wiz, who was the helicopter, he was a Top Gun instructor and graduate. Mm-hmm. He said, it does not look intentional to me. It literally looks like they are just clueless about the regional jet. Remember, pilots can be heads down in the cockpit looking at stuff. They're not always looking out the front window. If both pilots are looking at something inside the cockpit or entering something into a computer, nobody's looking out the window, especially if they believe they had the traffic in sight that was a threat to them, which clearly was the wrong traffic. In other words, he's saying too, when they said they saw the jet, they were probably looking at the wrong jet. There's no way two aviators in an Army helicopter would fly directly into a landing regional jet. So both of our experts who have no dog in this hunt say this does not look intentional to them. They believe it was just a catastrophic error. Anyway, your take on it, Charlie.
Well, yeah, first, I mean, it's an unspeakable tragedy. I can't tell you how many times I've been a passenger on that same approach, probably over 100 times, right over the Potomac, right into Reagan National. In fact, where our hotel was, we were in D.C. when this was happening. The boom and the sound woke up our son. We were in a hotel right over the Potomac, and all of a sudden, all the LNS, the lights and sirens, started to go off. Hundreds and hundreds of them. We were wondering what was going on. So, I'm far from an expert, so I don't want to try to speculate on this. It's very unusual. It's very, very confusing. I think that we have the right people to tell us the truth on this. I think Sean Duffy has been doing a great job. And talk about trial by fire. My goodness. I mean, you hit this accomplishment of being Secretary of Transportation, and 4 or 5 hours later, you're being rushed to the worst plane crash since 2009. I think President Trump has been terrific. In his press conference, you could tell President Trump was ticked off, not really necessarily at a particular person, but you could tell that he was ticked off at the loss of innocent life so unnecessarily. And I hope people understand that was, in many ways, Donald Trump showing his heart and his impatience and his intolerance for such a situation like this? There's so many questions that we need answered, such as, okay, if there is even a 1 in 100,000 chance that a helicopter will hit a commercial airliner, aren't there other places you could do training exercises? Again, I'm just a layman, so I need someone more educated to maybe fill me in on that. But if by the way, the near misses, they say, oh yeah, helicopters and doing test flights, near miss commercial airlines all the time. Like, well, what are we doing here? Why is this even in the cards? Why are we even considering this? And then finally, of course, it does warrant further examination. Where I'm most interested in on this very cryptic FAA report where they said something was not normal at air traffic control, or something was not right, or something was highly unusual.
It's in the New York Times today.
We don't know what that. Yeah, we don't know what that is. Actually, that was a very cryptic message. I have full confidence that Secretary Duffy is going to actually get to the bottom of this and let us know what that means. Could it be something about someone who's unqualified that was there? I don't know. I don't want to speculate in that. But we do know that the New York Times has reported months prior, and this has been a theme, that near misses are becoming more and more typical in our nation's airports. And it's beyond shocking. And just, again, it doesn't require any further comment than just an awful tragedy that all of us can sympathize with, because we've been not just at that airport, but on similar approaches like that all across the country.
That's exactly right. And so what the New York Times is reporting today is that in that control tower, there was something unusual, that the reason why the air traffic controller was handling both plane landings and helicopter landings at the same time, which is usually a job for two people, quoting here from the Times, is because a supervisor combined those duties sometime before 9:30 p.m. and allowed one controller to leave, according to a person briefed on the staffing who is not authorized to speak publicly. So for some reason, we were undermanned in the air traffic control tower that night. One person was controlling both helicopters and planes, which was a break from protocol. As you know, as a parent, every parent out there knows when there's a break from protocol, when, typically the dad doesn't drive the kid to school, the mom always does it. This is where things can happen, like, not to get too grim, but this is where you find out, like, the kid was forgotten in the back of the car on a 100-degree day because they broke protocol. They broke the way they normally do it, and something went catastrophically wrong. Nobody meant for it to happen. It's just, certain patterns get in place and people do them ritualistically. And when you throw a fly into that ointment, things can go wrong. And they're saying that there should have been two air traffic controllers there, and that for some reason they let one go early that night. And then what happens? This. Now, people aren't really pointing to the air traffic controller. Some people are saying that the air traffic controller should have said, rather than, do you see the plane, should have said, pull up, like a direction to the helicopter, as opposed to just relying on the understanding that they were talking about the same regional jet. Obviously, something went very wrong in the communications, but that's something to look at. We continue to face uncertainty when it comes to the economy, with a perfect storm brewing as Social Security and Medicare hit a breaking point as the largest generation is hitting retirement. A smaller workforce means a smaller tax base. You pair that with our growing national debt and the rising cost of living, and we could have a very big problem on our hands. So what are you doing right now to protect your family for the future? Gold can be a very safe haven in very hard economic times, and Birch Gold makes it easy to diversify a portion of your savings into physical gold. Birch Gold will help you transition an existing IRA or 401k in whole or in part into an IRA in gold. And it won't cost you one penny, not one, out of pocket. Protect your future today. Text MK to 989898 and get your free info kit on gold and a copy of The Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. There's no obligation, just information. Birch Gold has earned the trust of countless Americans looking to safeguard their savings. Text my initials, MK, to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.